Hi everybody, welcome to this edition of Iredell-Statesville Schools EDTalks. Our guest today is Laura Elliott, who is our Director of Accountability, Testing, and Student Information. So Laura, welcome to the program. Thanks for coming by.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
Well, you've got a big job in our school district, keeping up with nearly 21,000 kids and a lot of their information and our accountability model. And in North Carolina, we do have a very complex accountability model. So let's attempt to put this in layman's terms today, but really there are three different systems. There's an elementary model and middle and high school. So let's begin with the elementary schools.
Okay.
And talk about how we hold ourselves accountable to our parents and our taxpayers when it comes to working with our elementary children.
Well, the elementary model consists of the third, fourth, and fifth end of grade tested in ELA, English Language Arts and Math, and fifth grade science. So they're, the lucky ones that their indicator is just on the EOGs. Now, a couple years ago, the state brought in our Read to Achieve. So that was legislation that brought in that said all third graders would be reading on grade level by the end of third grade. So we have several tests, or if you don't even want to call them tests, but they're assessments that can, measure the students' ability to read by the end of the third grade.
Right.
So in the third grade, we start, even in September with the beginning of grade 3 that we love to call the BOG 3, but the state does not like us to call it that. And we test the third graders in ELA, and that gives us our first point, and we know where they're at. And then throughout the year, they can, our schools use the reading portfolio, which is a series of passages and, like 4 questions per passage. So it's kind of a shorter version, and it helps the student, see how they're doing. And they use that throughout the year. But then we also use M-Class, which is Reading 3D. Mm-hmm. And so we've got several ways that the student can show that, that measure. Mm-hmm. And then when we get to the end of the year, those students are tested on the third grade, end of grade, and if they're not proficient the first time, which proficiency is level 3, 4, and 5, then they're able to take what we call the Read to Achieve assessment. And that's just a shorter version of the EOG. It's a different format, and so we do see some success with our students. So, and even in those students that still don't make it at that point, we have the opportunity for those students to come to reading camp during the summer. Right. And then we'll test them again, at the end of July. So for the elementary model, it is, heavily based on the ELA, and then, of course, math and science, fifth grade science.
Right. And I've always held to the belief that assessments serve 2 primary goals. One is accountability for the community and the taxpayers to see if we're using our tax dollars wisely and progressing our children. Mm-hmm. The other, though, is so that teachers can use that data as a diagnostic tool and adjust their instruction. Do the elementary schools do a good job with both those?
I think so, because I know at the end of the year, once we have completed all of our testing, then I'm able to run reports that will show goal summaries. Mm-hmm. And the state has even given us a report that is a sub-score report. So it even breaks down the scores into, the sub-scores, and it shows those standards for those teachers. So I think that, I know that we do it at the end of the year, but they can take that information and, work with it, in the coming year. Now, the other thing that North Carolina has put into place, and this will be our second year that we're finishing, this year they changed the name to NC Check-In. And so at the elementary level, we did it at fifth grade math. So the first year it was out, we just had one school that did it. And then this year, the state asked for volunteers. And so the way this tool works is actually 3 interims that we do in October, January, and we just finished the 3rd one here in March. And it's an instructional tool. So, when the students take this test, we score it, we return the scores back to them. They get an item analysis, which is something that we don't get with the end of grade.
Right.
They can take that item analysis. They are allowed to keep those books, and go over the questions with the students. So it is a true model for instruction.
Right.
And we feel sure that we're doing that at 5th grade math. We're also doing it at 6th grade ELA. And, from all indication, the teachers really enjoy this way of having something from the state that has end of grade questions on it.
Right. Well, I'm hearing too the feedback that parents like it too because it's a little less stressful.
Yes.
On the kids taking the great big end of grade one and done test.
Right, and they will still have the end of grade, coming up here in May.
Yeah.
But having done this 3 times, it kind of gives them some practice. Here in our district, we've always done district benchmarks.
Right.
We've done them, in October and then again in March. But doing the NC check-ins, because we know these are questions that are coming from the end of grade, I think our teachers value this information more.
Right.
And we're hoping that if there is a proposal at the state level, that they're going to expand it to 4th math and 6th math, and then for ELA 5 and 7. So get a little bit more, information out there.
Right. Well, that's good. I hope the state will allow us to expand that.
So that's the elementary model. So then when you move to the middle school model, it's the same. We've got the ELA for the end of grade, math, and then 8th grade science. And again, that's about all we get at the middle school level. They don't have anything extra built into theirs.
Right.
Now, then when you get to the high school model, that's when it gets a little, they have many indicators. So they've got the 3 end of course, which is NC Math 1, Biology, and English 2. They've got the ACT composite. They've got the work keys, the ACT work keys, and that's for those students that make a silver or above. They have a graduation rate, the 4-year and the 5-year. I think that's it.
Yeah.
And so all of that, is put together to give them their performance composite.
Yes.
So yes, the high schools, they have a little bit more.
Right. And the legislature a few years ago actually reduced the number of EOG tests at the high school level.
Oh yes.
It was 10?
It was 10.
Yeah.
And now we're down to 3.
Right. So that took a little pressure off of them.
They did. But when the state started measuring Standard 6 for the teachers, then that's when they put back in what we call the North Carolina final exams.
Right.
And so that kind of picks up some of the exams that went away with the EOC, the students take with the North Carolina final exam. But a lot of people ask, well, do we need that many exams?
Right.
And, I see it 2 ways. Yes, if I had a student, no, I don't want them tested all the time. And I do have kids in the district. But on the district or state side, if you think about it, the students are still going to have a teacher-made exam at the end of the semester.
Right.
So we can either let the state create it for us, and then it's consistent across the whole state, or we have the individual teachers, create it. So.
Right. Now, North Carolina is one of the very few states, if not the only state, I believe, that requires all students to take the ACT.
Yes, that is correct. All 11th graders.
Right. And there is some discussion now about ratcheting up the accountability with the ACT and requiring kids that do not score at a certain proficiency level to do remediation before they leave high school. Tell us a little bit about that.
That's just really, I think it's been out for about a year. It will start with our current 10th graders. So it's, and it's being really driven by our community colleges, which, you know, they want to see our students come in ready to take their courses, instead of having to do the remedial courses that the community colleges offer. So it's called Career and College Ready, and they are looking at the ACT and what they would make on the math side and on the ELA side. So I know that, you know, on the math side, they're looking at the cut point is 22 and above would indicate that you're ready to go.
Right.
21 and below would mean that by the end of your senior year, you will have taken remedial courses to get you ready. You know, I see the good parts of this and I see the bad parts of this, because we all know that we've got some students that are not going to a 2-year college or 4-year college. I mean, they may be going to work in the family business or the military or, you know, something other than, you know, post-secondary. It doesn't, you know, it's taking all the students.
Right.
So, you know, we've had conversations with our high school principals. They know approximately how many, you know, students that could be falling into those remedial classes.
Right. Yeah, the one thing that I always caution people about when they're comparing students or schools or states to each other is to look at that model that's in place closely, because when North Carolina tests all students in ACT, obviously this is a college access readiness examination, and there are a lot of kids taking that test that know they're not going to college, and so some of them don't take the exam very serious. There's no motivation for them to do well on that exam.
Right.
And that pulls down North Carolina's average.
Right. And when we talk about all students, I mean, this includes all subgroups. You know, it includes our, you know, students with disabilities. It includes our English language learner group.
Right.
So even if, you know, if you are not, you know, normally taking an exam for the ACT, you are taking some form of it.
Right.
You know, that would count.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really important for people to know that we're required to test all of our kids on the ACT. Well, Laura, there is some legislation that's being bandied back and forth in the General Assembly about the A through F report card. Right. And ISS is a district that has lobbied very, very hard to ask the General Assembly to take a look at, again, the formula that is used in determining that A through F report card. Currently, the model in North Carolina is 80% of the letter grade is determined on pure performance on the end of grade test. 20% is the amount that's used for the amount of growth that a child made during the school year. So as the Director of Accountability, you've got an opinion about that, I'm sure.
I really do have an opinion about this.
I think our listeners would love to hear how you feel about that.
I honestly think that it should be 50-50.
Yeah.
Because we know that even if a student cannot make that level 3, but they have grown from a 1 to a 2, just, you know, that growth is more important than getting that level.
Right.
You know, yes, we as, you know, when we're looking at the data and we're, you know, compiling all those, you know, the pretty spreadsheets and everything, and, you know, we love to see our numbers really high, you know, on the proficiency side. But I think it's the growth that's going to help those students more in the end than a level. So yes, if I had any say or if I had any vote, you know, I would definitely, you know, go with the 50-50 model, because I think it's going to help our current low-performing schools.
Right.
It's going to tell their true story. You know, they're growing their students.
Yes.
You know, they're growing their students like leaps and bounds.
Right.
But performance-wise, you can't see it.
Right.
That 80-20 really hurts them.
Right. Well, I think that is picking up a lot of steam down in Raleigh, and I'm hoping this year they're going to take a serious look at it and give us some relief. Well, I know that here we are approaching mid-April. The testing season is upon us. It's a massive job just to get the materials and all of the logistics of testing. Talk to us a little bit about what it takes to test 21,000 kids.
Well, my department of 2.
Yeah. And I bet folks are surprised to hear that.
I bet they are, because, I mean, there are some counties that have departments of 10 or more
Right.
that have, you know, less students than we do.
Right.
But, I mean, Trudy Wooten and I mean, we really work as a team and love her to death. And, you know, I can give her anything to do, and, you know, she hops right on it. And I'm like, okay, slow down. You know, I give you a due date. Doesn't mean you have to do it right now.
Right.
But we will actually, so this year the state moved to, you know, we could test all of our middle schools online. We could test all of our high schools online. But we have schools and principals and teachers that feel that their students will do better paper pencil. And we know that. So I put that back to the schools. You know, I said, if you want to do paper pencil, you know, we will do that. So we actually have probably 90% of our students at the middle school level will still test paper pencil this year. Our high schools did paper pencil on the NC Math 1, and I can say, just looking from first semester numbers, I mean, they're looking, you know, the numbers looked better. So, and because we know if a student is doing math, you know, to me, I need a piece of paper,
Right.
you know, and to have it on the computer, I'm going to rush through it.
Sure.
So I think when we gave some data back to the high school principals that, you know, on a biology test that should have taken 2 hours, and we had students that were taking 30 minutes, we know that they were not, you know, taking their time. So we put it back and we said, I'll let you decide. So here in a couple of weeks, I will have a huge transfer truck pull up to my back door with about 3 pallets of testing materials, and Trudy and I will grab some help, we hope, and we'll unload it. And then it's a matter of, you know, we pre-code the answer sheets, we pack up the books, we make it everything ready to go for the schools so that when they pick them up, you know, and when we say accountability, you know, I say accountability means we count them when we get them, the schools count them when they get them from us, the teachers count them when they pick them up. I mean, these books are actually counted probably about 5 or 6 times because they are secure materials.
Right.
So we have to, you know, we have to make sure that they're locked up and counted for and everything. So, you know, they'll pick up the materials, they'll test the students, the answer sheets will come back, we'll scan them, you know, they'll get preliminary reports, and, you know, it's just, it's a well-oiled machine, I guess.
Well, and I know you do a good job too with ethics training, with accountability, because that plays a big portion of this too. We want to make sure that everybody's being above board and that there's no cheating and things of that nature. So all of your site-based test coordinators, you do a great job of training those folks and stressing the importance of high ethical standards. That's a component of it too.
It is. I actually will bring the school testing coordinators in at the end of the month, and we will have a test training, and we will train on this is how you do an online test, this is how you do a paper pencil test. But we will spend, you know, part of it talking about, you know, the testing code of ethics, because, you know, when we used to have the ABCs and the teachers would get, you know, the money, you know, that was considered high stakes testing back then. Well, then that kind of went away, and, you know, kind of everything kind of got a little, you know, easy, I guess. Then when they brought back the school performance grades, well, now we're back into high stakes testing again. Because, you know, that A through F, you know, it can make a school look great, and it can make a school look, you know, just a one letter, and you still don't know what's happening, in those walls.
Yes.
So I give some examples when we're doing test training that, I will tell them all that I love them, but I do not like to wear orange, and I'm not going to go to jail.
Yeah.
And I reference, things that have happened in this state and other counties. I referenced what happened in Georgia. The big testing scandal down there where there was people that went to prison.
Right.
So we just have to keep everything on the forefront of, it is accountability. It
Right.
is, we have to make sure that we have the best interest of our students, first.
Right.
And then, I'm hoping that parents will see this because I know that all of our schools will need proctors.
Right.
And so I'll go ahead and make a plea for all of our schools that they will need proctors coming up here at the end of May after Memorial Day. And then our high schools will need proctors the first week in June.
Right. And anybody can volunteer.
Anybody can proctor. You go
Right.
through, it's like a little 20-minute, 30-minute training. And a proctor is just a second set of eyes. You're not responsible for, collecting the testing materials.
Right.
You're not responsible for, giving directions. You're just that second set of eyes in there to make it secure.
Right.
Yep.
Thanks for that plug.
Yes, I'm sure all the high school principals will thank me too.
I bet they will. Well, Laura, thanks a lot. This has been enlightening to hear about your world of accountability, and it is such an important component of the school system. So we appreciate the information today.
Thank you.
And thank you for tuning in. We look forward to bringing you more episodes like this in the future. Have a good day.